Imagine answering a late-night knock only to find two pale children with eyes as black as ink. They ask, in eerie unison, to come inside. Your gut screams no, yet something presses you to hesitate. This is the Black-Eyed Children, a legend that has haunted America since the 1980s. Rumors say they appear at driveways or doorsteps, seeking permission to enter. Their voices seem polite, almost too formal for children, yet completely devoid of warmth. They speak of phoning their parents or seeking a ride, using words no child would know. Witnesses describe an overpowering dread, as if the air itself thickens. The first documented case emerged in Texas around 1988. A university security guard, stepping outside for a break, encountered two boys by his truck. Their eyes reflected no light. They asked to use his phone. He noticed their clothing was outdated and their skin unnaturally cold. When he refused, nausea overwhelmed him, forcing him inside. Later, he discovered the truck's batteries were dead, yet the engine had been running. How had they vanished? Since then, reports surfaced across the nation: California, Ohio, Florida. Each tale followed similar beats: approach at dusk or night, polite request, black eyes, sudden departure. Some people claimed their cars stalled when the children approached. Others saw windows frost over inexplicably. One family in Kansas said they heard scratching on the glass after refusing entry. These stories spread through early internet forums in the 1990s. Creepypasta enthusiasts shared and embellished each account, adding details like footsteps fading into thin air or children speaking in archaic phrases. Some skeptics pointed to pranks or optical illusions. Contacts could mimic black eyes today, but not decades ago. So what explained these eerie encounters? Could multiple pranksters coordinate such elaborate deceptions across states? Or was something else at work? Consider the psychological impact of black eyes. Humans rely on eyes to read emotion. Remove that signal, and we lose connection. A child should evoke comfort. A child with void-like eyes evokes terror. This subversion taps into a primal fear that love might mask danger. The legend leaped into mainstream after a radio call-in show in 1996, when a terrified caller described two children asking to use his phone. That broadcast sparked curiosity and panic. Soon, local news stations ran segments investigating reports. Listeners called in from other states, sharing eerie experiences. This broadcast accelerated the spread even before social media existed. As the internet matured in the early 2000s, websites dedicated entire threads to black-eyed children. Podcasts emerged in the late 2010s, featuring interviews with alleged witnesses who trembled recounting encounters. Social media platforms amplified the legend. Videos labeled True Encounter garnered millions of views, further blurring lines between fact and fiction. And within comment sections, skeptics sparred with believers, dissecting each point. Record searchable, revealing patterns across decades and states. One chilling detail emerges repeatedly: families who reported the sighting often faced unexplained illnesses or misfortunes afterward. A writer in Ohio noted that after he refused entry, a sudden illness struck his sister, leaving her hospitalized. Some wonder if the children act as omens, marking households for misfortune if not invited in. Psychologists suggest witnessing something inexplicable can fracture a person's sense of reality. Victims often experience anxiety, insomnia, and hypervigilance for years. The loss of innocence in a childlike visage can warp a person's perception of safety in everyday life. The legend continues evolving. Some claim to see the children in dreams, warning them to avoid certain roads or people. This shape-shifting aspect fuels endless speculation. Are the children interdimensional travelers, specters, or agents of our deepest fears? And if the legend adapts with each retelling, can we ever pin down the truth? Let's examine a particularly chilling case from Georgia in 1994. A single mother returned home from grocery shopping to find two girls at her screen door. Their appearance seemed casual: summer dresses, hair neatly parted. They asked to use the phone. When she noticed their eyes, she felt the world tilt. She slammed the door. That night, she heard faint scratching on her windows. When she looked through the blinds, she saw nothing. The next morning, her porch was covered in muddy footprints leading nowhere. Why do accounts describe children far older than their apparent age? Their speech often sounds adult-like. Some say they mention events predating their birth. Others note their voices lack the usual chatter or laughter. Instead, speech is monotone, almost mechanical. It feels rehearsed, like a script. What are they rehearsing? Midway through this video, take a moment to hit like if the tension is gripping you. Your support means we can explore more legends like this one. Origins of the legend trace back further than internet lore. In the early 20th century, British folklore told of changeling children, soulless beings left by fairies, stealing human infants. Those changelings often had hollow eyes. Travelers warned against helping lost children after dark. Is the black-eyed children legend a modern evolution of these warnings? Paranormal investigators have tried to record evidence. Cameras pointed at driveways caught nothing but darkness. Night vision sometimes flickered when the children were believed to linger. One team reported equipment shutting down as soon as two small figures appeared in frame. After that, only silence and a sense of being watched. Let's pause with a question. What would you do if those children knocked on your door? Walk away? Risk offending them and facing unknown consequences? Most accounts reveal victims frozen by fear, unable to act. Curiosity and terror collide, paralyzing rational thought. Now, let's dive into a detailed report. A family farm in North Carolina, spring of 1993. Two siblings, ages 8 and 10, played outside until dusk. Their parents called them in. A knock answered the call. Through the window, the mother saw two children in vintage clothes. Their hair looked from another era. She greeted them, but they didn't flinch at the light. They whispered, "We are lost. Please let us rest inside." The father opened the door slightly. The children recoiled as if burned, their voices fading into silence. When the porch light flickered, the children were gone. Scratch footprints led toward the woods, then vanished altogether. Skeptics argue that the black-eyed children are a meme turned real through collective imagination. If enough people share that fear, reports multiply. Yet, physical traces contradict pure hallucination. Frost patterns on windows, scratches on doors, footprints in grass. How can mass suggestion etch patterns in reality? Consider regional variations. In the South, tales include warm spring nights in rural settings. In the Northeast, children appear outside suburban homes. In the Midwest, they frequent gas station lots along highways. Each adaptation fits local fears: isolated roads, lonely neighborhoods, deserted campuses. The core remains: two black eyes, polite request, undying dread. Investigators from a Midwestern paranormal group claim they tracked one pair of children across multiple states in a single week. They followed letters, talked to witnesses, compared sketches. Yet the children crossed states in hours without a vehicle. Witnesses often describe them appearing out of thin air. Is travel through dimensions possible? Stories mention electronics failing near the children. Phones die, radios crackle with static, flashlights flicker. One man in Oregon tried filming two children under his porch light. His camera battery drained instantly. No footage exists. His only evidence: a scratch on the doorframe and a lingering dread that keeps him away. But is there any credible footage or audio? Creepypasta compilations show poor recordings, muffled knocks, faint whispers, nothing conclusive. Some say the children speak with slight echoes, as if multiple mouths share one voice. These fragments amplify the legend's intensity, yet leave us craving proof. Another account comes from a security guard in California in 1999. He patrolled a quiet business park at midnight. He saw two kids in business attire standing under a street lamp. Their eyes glowed black even in bright light. They asked for directions to a place that no longer existed. He offered to drive them. As soon as they touched his car door, his engine died. He watched their forms dissolve into darkness. Alarm bells rang, but no one came. He left, terrified and confused. What would you think if your car died at night and two ghostly figures stood at your door? Would you chalk it up to coincidence? Let's weave in a different perspective: psychological profiling. Fear often exploits ambiguity. When details are fuzzy, our imagination fills gaps. The shapes and shadows become figures. The hum of a fan morphs into a child's voice. Yet consistent reports across decades challenge pure misinterpretation. Most witnesses were not prone to supernatural belief beforehand. They recount hesitating before accepting what they see. Has anyone suffered harm? Direct physical harm seems rare. The terror itself seems the weapon. Once inside, stories end. No known reports of the children entering a home. Doors stay shut. Victims claim they fled or the children vanished. Why? Perhaps they feed on fear outside, not within. Or maybe inside, their power wanes. The threshold might be a barrier to their influence. If they succeed in entering, some say they drag you into nightmares, trapping you in another realm. Here's a cliffhanger question: what if the black-eyed children aren't alone? Some tales mention a larger group, dozens of children whispering at windows. Others hint at adults with black eyes. These appear rarely, but always signal deeper danger. Imagine a silent mob at your door. Could you stand against that? What if it's a warning, a prelude to a greater threat? Before we finish, take a moment to subscribe if exploring dark lore intrigues you. And if you haven't yet, hit like so we can continue gathering and telling these tales. As we approach the end, ask yourself, why does this legend persist? Perhaps because it preys on the boundary between childlike innocence and predatory evil. We protect children, yet fear is ingrained when they become the threat. When eyes lose humanity, we lose trust. If a child becomes a vessel for something else, how do we fight what we cannot see? Across cultures, similar myths arise. In Latin America, tales of Ninos de Ojos Negros bring fear to remote villages. In Japan, children with blank eyes appear near train stations at night, disappearing on empty platforms. Each culture reframes the legend, showing a universal dread of corrupted innocence. What connects these stories worldwide? Is there a common source, or do separate societies independently birth similar fears? In folklore, children often embody purity. Corrupt that image, and you unsettle every assumption. The black-eyed children represent that ultimate inversion. In every whisper of wind, we fear the knock at the door will deliver dread again. In every dark window, we fear a pair of black orbs staring back. In the end, maybe the scariest truth is this: if you hear a faint knock and see a small silhouette, you cannot be sure it's real until you see the eyes. And once you see the eyes, doubt will never leave you. Will you ever trust a simple knock again? Thanks for listening. Keep your lights on and your mind alert, because you never know who or what might be asking to come in next.